Good morning. I thought I'd just take you for a little wander around the garden so you can see what's going on as we start the beginning of spring. So here's our sweet pea arbour with a couple of self-seeded sweet peas in there and grass, and we've got things to cut back, to tidy. We've got plants that have died right back down like the aster that need trimming. The buddleias coming into some new growth here. We've got the buddleia really thickening up actually. Chrysanthemums have finished flowering. They're ready to be trimmed right back so that they can thicken up in preparation for their next season. The garden hasn't got a real lot of colour in it at the moment. Here's an echium that's about to give us some flower. I've got some succulents down here, some sedum, and we walk through our little path. The belladonnas are going to give us some beautiful flowers along this path in summer. And then here along the creek in the more shady area, we've got some good activity happening here. The phlomis is actually starting to really come into its own. The fuchsia died back during winter and that's coming into some green again. Carpet roses, they're all ready to start giving us some flower. And then when we look into this area, which I call my partial shade sort of circle bed, there's some magic happening in here, I tell you. So besides the fact that we've got a few random weeds, it's actually been very good with weeding. It's not been that difficult. The osteospermum is spreading like crazy, but that's easy. We can pull that back. But what's glorious is just behind here. Can you see those purple flowers? I'm going to take you around to show them in a sec. We've got another echium here. In fact, here's some of the purple flowers that you can see in the background. It's the honesty, linaria, and that started to flower. That's a biennial, so it was really green for a long time and you feel like, oh, you're never going to get any flowers. And then all of a sudden we've got this lovely pop of purple happening in this garden. So I'll take you around here. We've got a few branches down. We've had hail and really cold weather happening. So we're just on that real borderline of things becoming warmer but not consistent yet. So I'm going to just scrunch down here and show you this beautiful honesty plant. Look at that. And in the background there is a hellebores. So I'll show you them in a sec. We've got a little water feature in there, which the frogs go in, and I'd like it to be raised up, but it's actually quite nice. So this is actually quite a pretty little garden bed, this section. I'll wander in here to show you the hellebores. So the hellebores are getting ready to give some seeds. So these are extremely long flowering. And we can see here the seed is starting to produce on this flower. This flower's still got its pollen. So they last for a very long time. And can you see that that's starting off pink and then it goes to this beautiful lime green? The flowers that will grow from the seeds of this plant will not necessarily be that colour. So hellebores are pretty freaky. They can drop seeds of different, you know, the flowers will end up different colours. So I'm loving the hellebores and I can't wait to have an abundance of hellebores because they're just beautiful in bouquets. But the honesty, or linaria, is actually a very, very pretty addition to the garden, and that can cope with full sun, but it can also cope with shade. So I find that very versatile in my garden because I've got lots of trees all around me and they're casting shade all different times of the day in this particular section of the garden, but it does get the dappled sun. What else? Oh, we've got our little sitting area here that's looking very messy, and we've had pillows fall down in the weather. But along the creek bed here we're getting plants that I planted back in November. They're all starting to thicken up now. So we're getting the sun here enough to actually support these perennials that are quite, you know, needing the sunlight to grow. So we get it coming in and just dappling a little bit of sun in the morning. That's actually it's actually all going really, really well here. This is what I call the swing garden, because we have the swing in this section, of course. And we've got calendulas in here, we've got a water feature here, we've got the wild marigold, Canadian marigold I think it's called, that's starting to flower. And we have moved the weeping cherry from the front of the house around to the back here. That used to be in front of our bedroom window, but we've had the house underpinned, so there's been lots of work happening around in the front yard, but it's actually to make our house more stable, the foundations, so it's been well worth it. And I think we have actually saved that tree, so Terry dug that out for us and we planted it back up in here, gave it lots of nutrition, gave it the worm hit bricks to really help it support its roots as it grows. And because it was in a time of dormancy, I think we've had the least stress possible on this weeping cherry. So watch this space, it should look really lovely. There was a black locust tree there, which is the same as the ones out the front, which are bare now, but those big tall ones. So we've dug that out from this spot here and we've moved it to another part of the garden. And this one is not going to grow taller, so it's not going to cast a lot of shadow and shade over the garden. So we think that this has actually been a really good addition to this section of the garden. And along here, I'll come out the front and just show you. So the lucerne trees have started to flower, and that's a real pretty little white pea flower. They smell really pretty. The birds love them. And next to it is the elderberries. So we've got all white, a flush of white going all across the border of our driveway when people come in. And in front of it, this is the area we call Terry's garden. We've got some beautiful arctosis flowers that have been grown by seed, which are different to the other arctosis that I have in the garden and sell. We've got our 3 worm buckets in here, and they're all doing really well at adding nutrition into this area. Foxgloves are starting to come up. I'm thinking we're going to get some flowers of them for the first time. Hollyhocks, I believe we'll get flowers off of them as well this season. And yeah, we're doing really quite well in this section of the yard. The arctosis have been, they're not open now because it's been raining, but they're such a beautiful addition to the garden, and the fact that we can, you know, use the seeds to propagate more and to sell them, that's going to really help the business. Along here you can see how much water we've had in the last couple of days. We've had a real lot of rain, but we've created a bulb garden at the front and at the back behind the bulbs, pretty much to where these pegs are in the garden. You can see these pegs along here. There's nothing planted behind that yet. So today I'm going to, or in the next couple of days, I'm going to have a friend staying, and we're going to sow a heap of zinnias along there, which should look really beautiful. And I've got these here growing, these beautiful double daffodils, which has been dirtied up by the rain. But as time goes on, it's going to look so pretty along here. And yeah, the garden's really... Oh, Gary! That is really devious. Hello from Gary, my supportive, loving husband. And Rory. Say hello to YouTube world, Gary. And this is the sunshine garden. And funnily enough, as I come into it, the sun is actually shining and I'm casting a shadow. So that's pretty nice. This is all about to burst into colour again for spring. But the garden goes really, really green, and then we're going to pop. It's just going to pop like crazy. We've had, the poor old echium here has died, and I have looked up the term that explains what's happened here, you know, the actual official term of it. But what it means is that it comes into flowering and it flowers for a couple of years, and then it casts seed and then it dies. It's that type of plant. So nothing, I haven't done anything wrong. This is just the way this particular echium grows. It does throw its seed and then it dies. But whether we've got any actual viable plants growing underneath it, I don't know. They may not come up till later in the year, but we'll find out, won't we? So that's where we're at on this part of the garden. I hope you've enjoyed watching this. Up the back, dahlias are to still be planted, and I will show you something that's been going on up the back here as well. So we've got sweet peas to go here. They're in the greenhouse being propagated now, the seeds, and we've got some that are just starting. This section here, Terry has extended the poles and we're building trellises all the way along this part of the garden in this particular cutting bed where we have the chrysanthemums, and there'll be sweet peas all up here, gladioli in front of them, and then we're going to bring in ranunculus, anemones, sunflowers, that sort of thing. And under there is some little sunflowers that are being protected from the hail that we've just had. So I just banged my elbow on a post then as I walked, but you'll be able to see that they're under there, under the protection of the tarp, and or shade cloth. It's very, very makeshift, and eventually one day we'll have something that can pretty much pull from the higher point and attach down to these areas here so that we can protect our plants if there's a storm. That's what I would like. Ultimately, that's what I would like. So we're back at the beginning where we started, with the old asters that have died down and given us lots of new babies that I'm starting to sell. And yeah, I'll say ciao for now. Take care, everybody. Happy gardening, and I'm sure your garden, whatever season it's in, has got some beautiful beauty and changes happening to it too. And here comes Rory, staggering along the path very slowly today because he's cold. We've had really, really cold weather. So it's definitely not dahlia time just yet, but we're just around the corner from some warmth happening on a more permanent basis. Okay, everyone, see ya. Take care. Bye. Say see ya, Rory. Rory. Yes, I showed him the garden and where you've made a mess there with an old oatmeal packet, hey? Okay, toodaloo, everyone. Bye.